At the beginning of a new year, a lot of people are wondering, why haven't I seen changes in the past? I'm trying to make changes in business. I'm trying to make changes in life in general. And this is going to be a general video for that. You can apply it to any area of your life that you want to make changes. So you can use it in physical health, mental health, personal growth. You can use it for business, sales, whatever you want to, okay? Relationships, anything really that you want to. The concept that I'm going to introduce is called the decisional balance. And the reason I'm doing this is because so many people go, again, why coming into a new year thinking about new goals and being frustrated in the past at what you've made decisions to do or not do that have hurt you, we start to get frustrated. Once we lose confidence in that way, it can hurt us a lot. So the decisional balance is a basic concept, okay? It's as if you've got 10 tons weighted on one side of a teeter-totter, and on the other side, that's my version of a feather, okay? On the other side, you've got a feather. I think it's going the other way. I have no idea how to draw. So if you've got a really heavy weight here and a very light weight here, the teeter-totter is always going to be tipped one way, okay? And the way it's tipped is the way you typically make decisions. So for example, I'm going to use physical health. January is a time where that's where gyms do all their business, right? By February 14th, 15th, whatever it is, people don't even know where the gym pass was that they bought on an annual membership. That's typically the way it works. So what happens with the gym, and by the way, this is emotional. This is an emotional situation. Emotionally, whatever weighs heavier is the way you're going to go. And this can come from many different directions or places. It can come from childhood, things that you heard, things that you saw, things that you learned, things in our culture. So for example, if working out, if getting fit means eating things that you don't like you've learned that vegetables are not good or something, well, that weighs in on that side. Maybe you believe that meat or protein gives you more energy and you're always going to be hungry if you're eating vegetables, something like that, okay? Whatever you've learned, that's playing a role, okay? Maybe you live in a kind of a redneck community where it's like, nah, we eat meat and potatoes, we don't eat that stuff that cows eat, or whatever, right? The things that come around us, the things that people teach us, that all weighs on our minds when we make decisions. Maybe the second thing is something along the lines of, hey, listen, if I'm going to work out, I have to wake up in the mornings, and I hate waking up in the mornings. I'm not a morning person. Maybe things you tell yourself. They're again, in our culture, we go like, no, mornings are precious. We want to sleep for every moment we have. And maybe you don't understand for yourself that's really the time to make things happen. And that will give you more energy. Maybe you believe you will be tired, and maybe you've worked out. Maybe you haven't worked out for a long time, and then you worked out really hard, and you got really tired, and you were sore for a week, and maybe that plays in here. So we've got all these emotional reasons, and maybe you run to sugar or fats or certain unhealthy foods because or you do that when you're emotionally feeling overwhelmed or stressed. That can play a role here too. So if all these things are playing on this side, how likely are you to make a change of all of a sudden working out consistently for you? It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. The way we've got to change this balance, the way we've got to start doing things the way we want to do, is to start weighing this side. Now, this side doesn't, you don't just put like a weight on there and all of a sudden everything changes. It's not the way change happens in people's lives and psychologically. What we need to do is start putting weight on this side, okay? And slowly taking off weight this side, that also helps. But if we slowly start weighting this side, what will start to happen, actually for a long time we won't see any change, and this is the frustrating part of change for most people that I work with, is that sometimes for a little while they don't see a lot of outward change, they see internal change. And so the balances are still tipped in the favor of those 10 tons, the old decision-making process. If you continue to put on weight, you continue to throw things on, eventually what starts to happen is you'll start to see a little bit of a change. And this is really important because as that starts to change, that starts to build confidence. This is why it's so important to measure your goals, to set measurable action items, because the more measurable everything is, the more likely you are to do something, okay, or see change and be excited and motivated by that. So you start weighing this, and things will start to slip slowly, change slowly. But actually, when things change, when you start to pick up momentum, it actually starts to shift fairly quickly, just like a set of scales, okay? Now, I'm going to give you another drawing to give different insight into this, okay? This is an activity you can do to start helping yourself in this decisional process, this decisional balance, weighting the other side. Psychologically, this makes a difference. If you want to speed up the process, this is how I'd encourage you to do it. What you're going to do is set up a quadrilateral. On the right-hand side, you're going to say change. On the left-hand side, you're going to say don't change, okay? On the top, you're going to put advantages. On the bottom, you're going to put disadvantages. Basically, what you're going to do is you're going to fill out 4 sections in here. Now, bear with me that this exercise seems inane on some level. It seems like come on, Mark, that's so redundant. Bear with me, because if you go through the redundancy of this exercise, if you go and bear with it and actually apply your mind to this, you'll get far more out of the exercise. Now, what will start to happen is you will start to see you want to weight certain sides. What you're going to try to do is put more weight on this side right away. So for example, the advantages of changing, that's where most of us, when we're starting to see change or wanting to see change in our lives, that's where we want to weight things. So let's pick a specific example. I'll give a couple of examples, okay? But maybe specifically we'll stick with the exercise theme or the living a healthier life theme. So what are the advantages of change? What are the advantages of making changes so that I live a healthier life? So exercising, changing the way I eat, changing the way my belief system about food, interacting with food at a different level. What are the advantages of changing? Now, again, this is where people want to weight it. So we'll try to fill this to try to convince ourselves right now. Don't worry about this, okay? This is actually not the most important square right now. These 2 squares are the 2 most important squares right now, because it's becoming aware of what the weight is right now. So as an example, an advantage of change is that I will be able to walk up the stairs without being overwhelmed, okay? So can climb stairs. Or maybe it's going up without sore knees. Or maybe you've got something here where you can play with your kids. Okay? Don't worry about reading my writing, just get the concept. I'm going to put things in here just to fill it out to show you what it looks like, okay? So maybe it's playing with kids. Maybe it's living longer, okay? Maybe there's a big emotion. Actually, you know what? I'm going to wait with that one, okay? That might come later, okay? Now, again, this side, this corner, is kind of the same as that, just from a different perspective. So if I don't change, what are the disadvantages of not changing? What are the negatives in my life if I don't change? Maybe diabetes, heart disease, my knees are sore. Okay, so again, it's like this. So I can climb the stairs without being sore, or my knees will be sore. You can put that in. It's okay to be redundant here. Okay. Again, as a reminder, these are the ones you're going to want to fill out right now. Don't worry about these too much. Don't worry about these too much. Fill out a few on both sides. Spend some time on it. Fill out a few, and then what I really want you to do is focus on these 2 areas. Okay? So, what are the advantages of not changing? What are the advantages of not changing? Now again, psychologically, spend lots of time on this. Really dig down. What this is doing is showing you what's weighing down the decision for you right now. It's showing you where you're getting stuck. And once you have a little bit of awareness here, it makes a massive difference in how you're going to interact with yourself and with others and with the change process, okay? So, what are the advantages of staying the weight and the current health level that you are, okay? Well, it's convenient. It's familiar, right? It's convenient, it's familiar. Maybe it's that you can stick with things that are your current pattern. So for example, if right now you go to, I'll use an example from my own life. I've struggled with sugar for a lot of my life, where I go to sugar when I'm feeling a little bit overwhelmed. An advantage to not changing was that I had a way of dealing with stress on some level. It wasn't a good way, but it was a way of dealing with stress. So I would put that here. Sugar tastes good, helps feel good, whatever, okay? And what you're going to do is you're going to make a long list here, okay? So if you make a list of, like, I don't know, 5 things on these 2 areas, what I want you to do is at least double it, okay? don't go with specific numbers here. I'm not worried about specific numbers. But you put lots of things here. Now, what are some of the disadvantages to changing? Well, one of the disadvantages to changing, if I'm being honest about sugar or whatever, is that I don't have that coping mechanism anymore. Okay. Now, sugar, I'll have to figure out another way to deal with stress. Okay. Deal with stress. I'm gonna have to work at that because now I'm not going to be left with my one coping strategy, and that's a legitimate. This is a legitimate. Okay. What is another disadvantage of change? It's going to be hard. It's going to be frustrating. Now again, I'm just putting simple things here. Fill out what is hard about it, okay? It's going to be hard to maybe I don't have enough money, okay? Disadvantage of change is that it's going to cost me money. It's going to cost me time. It's going to cost me energy. I want to invest time, money, energy in other ways. Maybe it's going to be hard because I've gone to the gym before and it was hard to lift weights. It was hard to do cardio. It was hard to do whatever. My knees hurt every day, whatever it is. Maybe it's frustrating because maybe when I go to the gym, people look at me in a certain way because I'm the heaviest guy there, or because I'm I don't feel good about myself, or I lack confidence. Put those things, put those emotional reasons here. Because when you have lots of them, what you will start to see is like, oh, that makes sense. Now here's something that's beautiful about this exercise. What's beautiful about this exercise is that once you've done it, so put it on like a big piece of paper, put it up on in your home office or somewhere in your house, or put it on a tablet or something where you can see it consistently, okay? But where you can interact with it a little bit. The ideal is on like, the ideal is to take pictures of this every week. And even if it's on a whiteboard then, even if you're erasing things, you can look back at what used to pull you. This is the way you measure something. When you start to measure progress, you start to see change and get excited and motivated, and you build momentum. So, for example, once you've got 10 things here and 10 things here, or only 5 things here and 5 things here, what will happen is simply by writing it down the first time, you'll start to become more aware of it. So this week you'll probably think about working out a little bit more. Now, and I just talked about working out. I didn't talk about like vegetables as much. I didn't talk about eating healthy as much. There are lots of negatives and positives about those as well, okay? Really fill this out. If you have like 10 here, and 30 here, and 30 here, that's good. You can't do too much here, okay? Having said that, if it takes you 3 hours, you probably won't do it. So go easy on yourself. Spend a good maybe 30 minutes really working on this, okay? If you need help with this, go to somebody who has insight in you. Okay, so you're going to be more self-aware with this immediately. And immediately you're going to start going, how good does this sugar taste? You know what, it didn't taste as good over the holidays, or it didn't taste as good this weekend, or the alcohol that I was drinking, or whatever it is, the health problems that you were concerned with. Maybe you didn't enjoy it as much as you thought. You're like, wait a second, I thought this tasted so good, I actually didn't enjoy it this time. Simply by becoming aware, you will start to realize, wait a second, this isn't as strong a pull as I thought it was. And because it's become conscious, you'll start to go, you know what? Sugar doesn't taste as good as it used to. I'm noticing I don't enjoy it as much. And you can actually cross this off the list. You can actually cross this off the list. Or you might find, wait a second, yes, I'll be spending money on my health, but I already spend a lot of money. So one of the disadvantages of not changing, I spend so much money right now on, I don't know whether it's alcohol, cigarettes, bad food, healthcare, whatever it is. Maybe you add this up and you go, wait a second, you know what, I'm actually spending a lot more on this than it would cost me for the gym membership. You'll start to think about this. Now what I want you to do is every week, once a week, go back to this sheet, this large sheet that you're making, and I want you to look at all these things, and I want you to change them a little bit. So if there's something in this section or this section that isn't as strong anymore, maybe it's not as strong, maybe you kind of cross it off, or you erase it or something like that. Again, keep a record of the past. Really important to keep a record of the past. Or that maybe as time goes by, you start to add more things in these sections, like I worked out and I had more energy. More energy. Wow. You start filling these out. This is what's going to happen in your brain. As you're becoming aware of it, as you're seeing changes that are in how you're thinking and how you're interacting, the balance is starting to get weighted. There's starting to be a change. And this concurrently is getting a little bit lighter, okay? If there's less weight on here, there's more weight on here. As you erase these and start to fill these in. Again, it's very important that you fill these in first. It's important to be self-aware of what's actually pulling you. Be honest with yourself. Now here's a question in all of this. And this is a question that somebody asked me. Actually, clients ask me all the time here. They say, Mark, here's another idea, okay? If you want a visualization, you can cross these off with green, or with red, or add things on the other side with green, more energy, or whatever. And as you do that, you start to have a visual representation of what's going on in your mind. Now, what if, like the person that came to me, says, but Mark, what happens when I fail? Because failure is a big part of this process, and I failed so many times in the past, and that hurts. That's actually one of the advantages of not changing, is that I don't have to feel like a failure again. Excuse me. I hate feeling like a failure. I hate feeling the shame. I hate feeling those aspects. Here's what I'm going to tell you, and this is a really important aspect as well. Failure is really valuable in this process. What happens is over time, we start, the things that were really important to us, the things that we feared, the things that were strong, hopeful pulls, they kind of wear off. And I'll give you an example. Maybe you have a bit of a health scare. Maybe over the Christmas holidays, you felt a chest pain. You're like, oh, is this a heart attack? And so you were really engaged. You're very motivated to do some of this stuff. And so you get into it and you work out for a couple of weeks or 3 weeks or 4 weeks or whatever it is. And you start falling off. You miss a few days here, you miss a few days there. Now it's gone a week, now it's gone a couple of weeks every once in a while. Now you're into March and you're like, oh, I failed at this thing again. The reason that's so useful is that you can go back to this board and you can look and go, you know what? I was thinking it was important for me to feel good, and I was starting to feel good. By the end of January, I was feeling great. I'm feeling awful again. I'm lethargic. My knees are hurting again when I'm walking upstairs. All these things, I'm breathing heavy by taking a short walk, whatever it is. I'm feeling bad. That doesn't feel good. Having those reminders for our emotional brain that remind us actually change is a good thing. When we don't change, it's not a good thing. It wasn't as good to lay on the couch or to sleep in, or these things, the lies that we tell ourselves, oh, maybe it's okay if I sleep in a few times, or if whatever happens, okay? I'll watch TV a little bit more rather than going for a walk. All of a sudden you'll start to see, I'm lacking energy, and this sucks. When you fail, it doesn't feel good. And especially if you're becoming aware of how you feel, you'll be recognizing that in your life. Once you recognize that, you can go back to this and go, huh, you know what? The advantage of not changing is that I get to sleep in. That's actually not strong, because when I don't sleep in, I actually get more done. And it becomes an advantage of change, okay? So again, you keep switching these. Failures, what I'm trying to emphasize here is failure is an integral part of this process. Feeling all the consequences of making the choices that weren't getting us what we want are really helpful for us if we are measuring them, if we are taking them into account, if we're interacting with these things again. Very helpful. Now, I've been talking about physical health a little bit, and this idea works really well with physical health. That's why I use it. It's an easier example, okay? What about if it's for business? I want you to apply this to business. This is your homework, okay? How does this apply to your business? Not getting out there and talking to people. Not getting out there and making new connections. Not learning about sales. Not learning about marketing. If you're not doing those things, because you've got these emotional connections to not changing, you got to start weighting the side. And how are you going to weight that side? Go through this quadrilateral, okay? This change quadrilateral, and ask yourself, what's been stopping me from changing? Really get into this. The more time and energy you spend on this, the more you'll get out of it. Now, listen, I'm sending this to you as a gift. I don't know if this gives me a lot, okay? This is something for people because I hear it constantly, and I really want to help people in this way. Here's what I'm going to ask of you. This is a gift to you. What I want you to do is interact with me. If you've got questions about this, whatever platform you see this, I'm going to send this out in an email, a newsletter list, okay? But if you see this in some other form, at some other point in time, if somebody gave it to you, if somebody sent it to you, whatever it is, I want you to interact with me on this and talk to me about the difficulties you're having. I love helping people. And when I give something like this away, and it costs me time and energy to do it, and somebody gives me feedback later on and goes, Mark, this was really helpful, or this is something I'm struggling with, that helps me get better at what I'm doing constantly. So I'm going to ask that as a gift for myself. I'm willing to give this to you. Please be willing to interact with me a little bit. Ask questions, share some of the challenges, challenge me on different things, and I'll be willing to interact with you, okay? Enjoy the process of 2019, of making change, of growing. All the frustration that comes with that is a good thing. It's not a bad thing. The frustration is something that helps you with change. So embrace all of it and work through it and grow and enjoy life because of it.